was on an interview program. He mentioned that he knew of a high-level general that would love to come and testify about 9/11 as a false flag attack if there was an authoritative event that would make it worth his while.
That's right, because they don't want to take the risk, and I don't blame them. They don't want to take the risk unless it's going to be meaningful, meaning that there's a law that's being utilized to absorb this information and then turn it back over to the American people so that they react to it. I think somebody asked a question of, that Doug did earlier, is, now what could we do once we discover criminality? Well, you don't want to get confused. You cannot give a grand jury police powers. That's the police station down the street, or the state police, or the federal FBI. That's where the police powers are located, and they're sorely abused right now. But be it as it may, we can't give ourselves that into a commission. All we can do is expose under, and then if there is perjury, then we can turn it over to legitimate authorities to prosecute. They may not want to prosecute, but here too, this is we're opening Pandora's box. In the old days, I think it was before the turn of the century, you used to have grand juries. Have you ever heard the terminology runaway grand jury? Yeah. Well, that's what we had. There was so much corruption that the people had this basic power that was at the state level, and they would form grand juries, and they'd go after this corruption with a club. Well, politicians got wise to that. We better change this law so we don't have runaway grand juries. And that's why the grand jury is a lot narrower. It's under the control of the judiciary by and large. But we can take those powers and transfer them to this commission, and then they could use that to good effect. But I have enough faith that once we begin to discover, now the key is going to be, who are going to be the commissioners? And that's a $64 question, because I've created 2 commissions in my career, and they both went to naught because the people who ran them did not have the vision. And so it's going to be very key that when we make the selection for the commissioners, and this is how it will be done legally, the steering committee that's waging the campaign of bringing about the commission, that steering committee, which could be made up of 25 people, right now it's 5 or 6 people, 3 people from Massachusetts, George, myself, and I was from California and one from Missouri. And as we go around the country, we'll pick up key people in the various states that enact this and beyond that. And so that group will sit together after this is law in any one state. We'll sit together and solicit suggestions, nominations from the American people. You've got an idea of somebody you think is qualified to be on this commission? You'll submit it. We'll probably have thousands. But that's okay. We'll go through it very carefully. We will hire a firm that will vet and investigate every nominee that sifts through. We won't investigate 10,000 of them, but we'll sift it through to layers, and then at the proper time hire a team to investigate, official investigators to investigate these people to make sure that their curriculum vitae or their resume is what they say it is. And so it will go through a process. So it will take some time to bring this about. But the key is that not only do they have to have a good mind, and you don't have to be a PhD. I've met people at the end of a garbage truck that had more wisdom than many PhDs that I've met. So but one criteria we want to have, will they have the guts, the will to pursue this investigation wherever it leads and to whoever it makes involved, domestic and foreign. Please.
Yes, what you've described is this kind of a great, this commission almost sounds like a truth commission, and I'd like you to touch base on that. I mean, I've advocated that ultimately the most successful outcome for an 9/11 investigation would be a truth commission, because if you have a criminal investigation, you'll end up with an Oliver North situation in which someone will take the fall and they will be blamed for it all. And the whole structure just gets a pass. So it sounds like a truth commission. So could you comment on
yeah,
that?
very much. Very much. It's not a truth commission in that sense. Because supposing we get an Oliver North, he's being sworn. And so if he lies, he commits perjury. And so Now that's a whole other dimension of it. So the other people have said, you know, you need something like in South Africa with Desmond Tutu. Our situation is much more complex than that. We are led by corporate America and the military-industrial complex, and it's so overpowering. Apartheid was overpowering to them, but they had a different situation. They had people that were committing crimes, and if you confessed to crime, you could be forgiven. Well, we're not a Catholic institution here. They commit a crime, we want them to serve. Now, we can't force them to serve, and we can't force the adjudication in that process. But we just don't, the key thing that really floats my boat is that we take a step in a direction we really don't know the unintended consequences, nor does anybody else. But we do know one thing, we're going towards the people, and that's the right direction. I hope I've answered your question, but when I say truth, here I look back there, I see Wolfowitz, I see Bush, I see Rumsfeld, I see
Pearl,
the Vice President Cheney,
Karl Rove.
Karl Rove. Well, I'll tell you, from my point of view, all those individuals are guilty of something real bad. But now we got to prove it.
The question ultimately is how far down do you go because the complicity with the censorship, which is illegal, and a lot of other illegal things, will take away an enormous level of the world as we know it today, right? And maybe that's the point, but how do you
keep in
move forward?
Keep in mind how prosecutors work.
Okay.
They get the little fish to talk, and they involve the big fish and the bigger fish. They just climb that ladder to get to the top. And so you get all these people sworn, testifying. So it's not going to be a situation, oh, we get a bunch of patsies there and we're going to be happy. Oh, no. This is a global undertaking. We're talking about governments here and abroad that may be involved. And so it's a serious undertaking. Please, I'll come back to you, Doug. Sir.
I have two things, actually. One's kind of pragmatic, the other's more philosophical. The first thing is about the actual drive to get the signatures, to get this on the ballot. I know that it seems to me that from just experiencing some other initiative petitions that you have to get quite a bit more than what is required. Because if it's an unpopular question, the Secretary of State and others will just disallow certain signatures. And then you have the other problem of companies that you hire just putting phony names on. And when it gets to the, and charging you, and then when it gets to the Secretary of State, then you find out, you've been had. But it also seems to me that $300,000 might be a little high, that you might be able to do it for $200,000. And I just wanted to throw that out. But
let me respond to the first part, and I'll give you a follow-up.
Yeah.
We've just negotiated a contract. I haven't signed it as yet, nor have our leaders here. And we're looking at $3 a signature. And we're looking at 100,000, 105,000, or 115,000 signatures. By the time some are thrown out, you go after a 75% accuracy. So all of that is extremely complex. And like I say, we've gone through this contract twice. We're going to make a decision to sign it, but we got the petitions. You see, you can't do enough with volunteers alone, but you can do a lot. And so we hope that you'll get involved in signing the petition, and if you want, circulating the petition. But you need training on that, and the leadership we have, Rich O'Coin, will be coming out and doing training on that. And Doug is very familiar with that, and so are many others, because they've been in these issues. Because any little mark on this paper, a little smudge right there, they can use that to throw it out. The government is not your ally in initiatives. Never has been, never will be, and if they can screw you, they'll do it again.